This is TVRI News, bringing you the latest reports from around the world. I'm Devianti Farids.
And I'm Suroso. In tonight's Talking Point segment, our guest for tonight is Professor Dr. Azu Mahdi Azra, Rector of EIN Jakarta and also political analyst, who will talk about a meeting between Amin Rais and Taufik Kimas on current political issues. But first, here are the headlines.
Political party figures, including Amin Rais, Taufik Kimas and Bahtiar Hamzah, attends a meeting behind closed doors of the Al-Azhar Mosque. Vice President Megawati establishes the National Coordinating Agency for Disaster and Refugee Management to handle the ailing condition in Sampit. Tension remains high between Thailand and Myanmar after a clash near Thai border town of Masai.
This is TVRI Evening News, the first English news in the country.
And those were the headlines topping tonight's news. Now, Davy will present the first report from home. Davy.
Thank you, Bambang. A number of political party leaders, agreed to take constructive steps to save the nation from uncertainty. Following Friday prayers at Kebayoran Al-Azhar Mosque, a number of political leaders met behind closed doors. Notably present were Taufik Kimas, PDIP party, and husband of Vice President Megawati, Amin Rais, Speaker of Parliament, and head of PAN party, Mahadi Sinambela, Golkar, and representing House Speaker Akbar Tanjung and Hamzah Has of the United Development Party. According to Amin Rais, who at first had denied that the meeting was anything more than an informal get-together, the leaders present agreed on 3 points. Firstly, together to maintain unity and brotherhood. Secondly, to follow up the meeting with non-Islamic groups in order that there be openness and transparency. And thirdly, that national disintegration must be overcome. Amin Rais further said that this informal meeting will be followed by formal meetings with the heads of the 5 leading political parties. He said that the most important thing now is to stop acts of national destruction, regardless of who leads the country.
Vice President Megawati Sukarno Putri led a meeting to establish the National Coordinating Agency for Disaster and Refugee Management today at the Vice President's office in Jakarta. In the meeting, Megawati requested that agency members submit a clear report describing the working mechanism of the Refugee Handling and Crisis Management Agency within this month. After the meeting, the Minister of Internal Affairs and Regional Autonomy, Suryadi Sudirja, said to reporters that this agency is a continuation of a similar agency once led by the Minister of Public Welfare and Poverty Eradication. Sudirja added that a crash program to train personnel on Sampit refugee management, which prioritizes the rescue of refugees, is currently underway. Regarding property and assets owned by the refugees of Sampit, Sudirja said that the local government must register and list the property in an inventory. When asked when the refugees will be able to return to Sampit, Sudirja said he cannot predict the appropriate time. The Secretary for the National Coordinating Agency for Disaster and Refugee Management, Bambang Kesawa, who is also Megawati's secretary, said to reporters that Vice President Megawati emphasized accurate coordination in formulating policies to deal with the refugees. He added that strong cooperation between local and central government is needed to provide for urgent humanitarian assistance.
Tension remains high between Thailand and Myanmar, 2 weeks after their armies clashed near the Thai border town of Masai. Both sides have reinforced their numbers and the frontier stays closed. They may be partners in the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, but beneath the official handshakes, the two neighbors retain a profound mutual distrust rooted in history.
The Shan State Army is a little more than a ragtag outfit. No one knows their numbers, but they're certainly too few to gain their stated goal of freedom from Yangon's rule. And yet this group of hit-and-run hill fighters has brought Thai-Myanmar relations to their lowest level for years. 2 weeks ago, Myanmar troops seized the Thai border post to get a battlefield of fire against the Shan. This was the result. Thai shells peppered the attackers' position. Several were killed. The Myanmar troops then mortared the Thai town of Masai in retaliation. 2 civilians died. Now troops patrol the border lines in force and talks to lessen the tension have broken down. There's been no more fighting, but there's been plenty of abuse. The Thais say that Yangon's commanders are in league with drug traffickers. Myanmar says that the Thais are using the SSA to wage war against them by proxy. At his hilltop base, that's a claim the SSA commander denies. On both sides of the closed border, popular feeling was running high. At Masai, traders and locals would cross over daily. Now they eye each other with fear and mistrust. Leaders of both countries meet at the ASCAN conference, the regional political bloc, but the veneer of unity can't mask the fact that there has been bad blood between the neighbors for hundreds of years. And experts say it's ever ready to surface. In Thailand, says one commentator, it's actually been part of the nation-building process. And this is now being reinforced. Last week, a new Thai movie played at Army headquarters in Bangkok. Beng Rajan tells the story of villagers who died fighting a so-called brutal invader, the Myanmarese.
Several Ulamas of the Madris Religious Ulamas Association, Basra, came to the DPR to submit a written statement of concern over the atrocious tragedy in Sampit, Central Kalimantan. After meeting with Deputy Chairman of Parliament, A.M. Fatwa, representatives of the Madris Religious Ulamas Association, led by Mudatsir Badruddin, condemned the tragic attempt at ethnic cleansing carried out by a certain ethnic group in Central Kalimantan, regardless of what reasons lie behind these violent acts. The Ulamas also were concerned over the inattentive and slow response from the central government and local security officials, along with their Jakarta military partners in calming down the unrest, resulting in mounting numbers of casualties and property damage. The Ulamas demanded that the government and security officials rapidly take concrete steps to stop the violence and firmly take action against those responsible for provoking the massacre. DPR Deputy Chairman A.M. Fatwa requested that the government guarantee the security of refugees and their safety on their return to their hometown, Sampit.
The Tokyo market's main index dropped sharply on Friday morning, extending its 15-year low, coming as the political leadership in Japan is in question.
The Nikkei stock average shed 178.10 points, or 1.4%, to 12,503.56 at the end of the morning session. On Thursday, the average closed down 201.00, or 1.51%. Thursday's closing level was the lowest since November 20, 1985, when the average finished at 12,642.09. Before the market opened, the government announced Japan's unemployment rate remained at a record high 4.9% in January, unchanged from a revised December figure. Worse than market expectations for 4.8%, the high unemployment rate underscores severe labor market conditions that still weigh on consumer spending. The economic slump came to lighten the myths of the question over the Japanese political leadership. Increasingly seen as a liability ahead of elections this summer, Prime Minister Mori is under intense pressure to resign before his party, the Liberal Democrats, hold its annual convention on March 13. Mori is now under fire for continuing to play golf after hearing news that a U.S. submarine collided with a Japanese high school's fishing boat, and for his failure to do anything to turn around this country's sputtering economy. Mori was headed for another showdown on Friday with Japan's opposition parties, who vowed to submit a no-confidence motion against him as soon as this year's budget was passed in Parliament.
This is TVRI Evening News, the first English news in the country.
Today, NPR Chairman Amin Rais met with Taufik Kiamas, who is the husband of Vice President Megawati, and other political leaders at Kebayoran's Al-Azhar Mosque, following the Friday prayers. Those present described the closed meeting as only a friendly get-together, but many consider that it was most likely an important political policy meeting.
Yes, and tonight we have with us Professor Azumardi Azra, a political analyst who is also director of EIN Jakarta, a well-known Islamic university in Jakarta. Viewers are welcome to participate in this interactive segment by calling us at 574-1501 and 574-1435. Once again, that's 574-1501 and 574-1435. The second Friday meeting, I should say, might well have strong political overtones, as did a similar meeting following Friday prayers between the same two men. Yes. Good evening, Pak Azra. Welcome to the studio.
Able to maintain engagement with the country by having a
Good evening, Pak Azra. Welcome to the studio.
Good evening. Good evening.
Well, Professor Azumardi, do you consider it likely that the second Friday meeting of political leaders, including Amin Rais and Taufik Kimas today, was, as they say, as simply a get-together, or whether it was likely to have a strong political motivation?
I think this meeting has a very symbolic meaning. Following the meeting,
In terms of what?
In terms, I think symbolic meaning. I mean by using by their meeting in the mosque. This is a very symbolic. And then also the meeting was held after the Friday prayers. I think this is a very symbolic meaning. By it means that the symbols of Islam again is used to in order to develop a kind of mutual understanding among political leaders. So I think, despite of this very symbolic meeting, of course, I believe that these two meetings, last Friday and also this Friday, today, have a lot of political overtones and also a lot of political colors.
Well, you said it's a symbolic meeting in terms of Islamic, religion. Does it mean as also that Taufik Kimas, as a husband of the Vice President Megawati Soekarno Putri, also a PDIP member, is also concerning the gender leadership?
We have to remember that in the last election there had been a lot of criticism among from Muslim that PDIP was not in a very good terms with the Muslim community. So now with the meeting of Taufik Kimas with Muslim political leaders, the PDIP by way of Taufik Kimas and also Pramono Anung, I understand, who also who was also present in this today's meeting. I think the PDIP tried to re-establish its image among Muslim population. So with this symbolic meeting, PDIP could gain more wider acceptability from among Muslims.
So it means that it is more political motivation than in this meeting.
Yes, of course. Especially the timing of the meeting. Last week they had a meeting, and then today they also have a meeting. So I think the timing, because of political situation now in Indonesia, has been developing in not a very conducive way. So this is, I think, one of the major factor why they have a meeting, what they call a silaturahmi, just a religious meeting. I don't think that it's simply a religious meeting, not simply a silaturahmi. Of course, now today they had a meeting in a behind closed doors. So I think I believe that in their meeting, close meeting, they discuss political developments.
Including the current situation now Indonesia is facing? Of course.
So I think that this meeting is some kind of mutual rapprochement between Muslim political leaders and PDIP in order to, from Megawati's point of view, is to get some kind of, guarantees or something like that, that if Megawati should, for any reason, were elected as a president, and then there should be, support from Muslim political leaders.
And how do you see, as an Islamic university rector and also a political analyst or observer, how do you see this? Are they willing to accept one day probably accept Megawati's leadership as a...
I believe that Megawati has been able to get a much wider acceptability among Muslim population. At least, as we know that last year, Megawati did her pilgrimage to Mecca. And then, of course, this Hajj pilgrimage has a very strong religious significance.
But is that guarantee?
Of course, not guarantee, but also, and then Megawati, I think 2 months ago, before the Idul Fitri, before the phase of Ramadan, the end of Ramadan, also did her Umrah, lesser pilgrimage to Mecca. So I think by doing a pilgrimage to Mecca, there would be no further question about the Muslimness of Megawati. She saw herself that she's a good Muslim, and then did the fifth pillar of Islam, that is doing Hajj to Mecca.
Okay, well, we'll have to hold for a moment. We'll accept a caller. Yes, hello, good evening. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. What is your name, sir?
Andi Petabila.
Mr. Andy, okay, go ahead with your question or comments.
I want to try speaking this step by step. I'm sorry. I want to talk to Mr. Mr.
Azumardi.
Azumardi. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
I want to ask you what happened Mr. Amin Rais and the husband Megawati.
Taufik Kemas.
Yeah, Taufik Kemas. I think this politic for the what you call the DPR. Yeah, they're gonna to give to Gus Dur a memorandum too. Maybe. That's it. Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, it is likely if they can. I mean, if these leaders, these Muslim political leaders, and also Taufik Kemas and other PDIP leaders could reach some kind of agreement. By taking into consideration the latest political development in Indonesia, which is not very good. So I think it is likely, it is possible because also of the response of the President Wahid to the DPR's memorandum until today. That is most observers consider that President's response to the memorandum has not been very good. Even probably some circle among DPR members consider that President shows no regret to this memorandum, and then and he seems to do nothing in order to improve the performance of the government.
I see. Okay, we'll accept another caller. Pak Zumardi. Yes, hello. Good evening. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, who's this?
This is Johan from Bogor.
Pak Johan, okay, go ahead, please.
Well, I would like to ask your comments, especially on this situation today. I do believe that the PDIP now has already divided into two big groups, I believe. And I'm not sure whether the husband of the vice president is still in line with the other group. Yeah. So what do you think? Because I think that one day when the vice president be appointed to be the president, and then that's the time where the other against, the other group, like the Reformasi and other, will try to attack her, and then that will be the chance for Amin Rais and Akbar Tanjung to be the president as vice president. Well, I'm just a common people. So can you give me your comment, or what is your idea? Thank you.
Well, thank you, Pak Johan. We'll continue to accept another caller first. Yes, hello. Good evening. Who is this, please? Okay, it's been cut off. Yes, Pak Zumardi. I think Pak Johan is commenting about the recent situation regarding the PDIP.
I think there will be some kind of tug of war between let's say, Taufik Kemas faction, which is now try to make some kind of mutual understanding and mutual rapprochement with its Muslim political leaders with another group that oppose such a move. I think it depends. Again, these two factions, whether these two factions will affect PDIP as a whole, or whether these two factions will create a new problem within PDIP. I think it would depend very much on Megawati herself, because we understand that Megawati has a very strong influence on anything within PDIP. So if Megawati shows signs that she would accept the political, let's say political dealings, political agreement between Taufik Kimas and Muslim political leaders, I think the PDIP leaders or the PDIP members who oppose such a move, I think would follow the suit.
Okay, well, yes, hello, good evening. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, who is this, please?
I'm Daud from Pondok Gede.
Daud, okay, go ahead with your comments or
evening.
questions, please.
I wonder whether you have read the comments by Professor William Little from Ohio State University, in which he predicts that if Megawati comes up as the next president, there might be some kind of experience that once happened to Benazir Bhutto. I think you understand what I mean.
Yes.
Would that be some kind of maneuvering in such a way that Megawati and her husband will be, so let's say, put aside by some unforeseen powers, and then somebody else that we don't know yet will come out as the new president? And what will the impact be toward the Indonesian feelings for one nation?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Daud. Yes, Pak Azumardi.
Yes, thank you. I did read the article of Professor William Riddle. I think Megawati has some kind of, worry about this. So I think now what Amin Rais and other Muslim political leaders try to do is to convince Megawati that things like Benazir Bhutto would not happen to her, or Megawati would not be impeached. So I think that's what I said before, that all these political leaders, Muslim political leaders, and also Taufik Kimas, try to reach some kind of agreements among them in order to reach some kind of agreement, and also to guarantee that Megawati would not face the same situation like Benazir Bhutto did in Pakistan.
Okay, we'll accept another caller, Pak Azumardi. Yes, hello, good evening.
Yes, hello.
Yes, who's this, please?
My name is Robbie. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Well, I would like to make some comment regarding the situation of our country now, politically speaking. As far as politically speaking is concerned, the most problem is that all those representatives of our people in parliament should not too much concern anymore where they come from fraction. They've got to be concerned that they have representative of all people of Indonesia. That is the most important.
Yeah.
So that they get some kind of maturity in political situation.
Yeah.
Should not. That is the root problem of our country now.
Yeah.
If supposing that the PDI Perjuangan and that other group from, say, from Muslims, they have to be welcome. And then they show their responsibility, the same as others. You see? That's what I think that's the most problem now we're facing. So the maturity of the elite politicians have got to be very much in demand. Like what happened with those advanced countries, developed countries. They never concern very much of the party where they come from. They should concern with the people. Yeah. You see? That is, I think the professor would agree, and all of us agree. That is the main message that all those representatives and all those elite politicians have got to think about seriously.
Yeah.
You see, irrespective of where they come from.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pak Rompi. We'll accept another caller first, Pak Azurmadi. Yes, hello, good evening. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, who is this, please?
This is Duri speaking.
Pak Dwi, okay, go ahead, please.
I'm from Jakarta.
All right.
Well, I just would like to know to ask to Mr. Azwadi.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you think is Mr. Amin Rais really sincerely now to receive Megawati as a president? When we look back into the history, I mean, when Abdul Mahid was elected, because Amin Rais doesn't like Megawati because to the Islamic view.
Yeah.
Now he accept Megawati as a president because he doesn't like Abdul Wahid. Also, maybe to a certain extent because Abdul Wahid against the Islamic view. So is he really sincerely on this game? You know, that's my question to Mr. Madi.
Well, thank you. We'll go ahead with another caller, Pak Azwadi, before we answer one of these calls. Yes, hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, who is this, please?
This is Budi from Jakarta. Yes, I'd like to give some comments and probably get Mr. Asra comments. I think it's true that Amin Rais used to go for Gus Dur and don't go for Megawati, and now he goes for Megawati but don't go for Gus Dur, and that's kind of confusing. But my main comments probably for Megawati if to be a president, and he probably has still 3 years, let's say. Probably the first year is okay, but the next several years she's going to be in trouble. She probably will not be impeached, but her party will not be in a good position, and her government probably will be weak for sure. And what the elite politics now is eyeing for the 2004 election. And I'd like to know Mr. Asra comments if...
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Rudy. Okay, Pak Azwadi, maybe you can start by answering Pak Rompi's question first about the representative in the parliament.
Yeah.
What are they doing? Are they representing all the people, or are they just representing their own organization?
I fully agree with the appeal of Pak Robi that our MPs, a member of parliament, should pay their attention and their concern to the welfare, to the interests of the people. I agree, but I think not only MPs, I think all leaders at national and local level should put their concern to the interest of the people. So by paying attention and concern to the interest of the people, to the welfare of the people, I think we can improve our economic situation and also repair our political situation, improve political situation.
And Pak Azwadi, as you as a political observer, what do you see in the members of parliament? Are they acting as their own organization, or are they representing the whole people?
Yeah, I think in many cases, it's I observe that there is a very strong tendency among MPs that they represent only their political interests, their political parties. It seems that they do not pay necessary or sufficient attention and concern to the interests of the people. But of course, the members of parliaments are not isolated from other political institutions. Therefore, I also appeal that in addition to the MPs that should pay their attention and concern to the interests of the people, we also appeal to other leaders, both at the executive branch of the government and also at the national and local level to pay much more attention, and then to give more attention to the welfare of the people. Otherwise, I think we would only prolong the political and economic crisis in our country.
Is it that hard to choose the right people on the on the right place?
Yeah, this is the time of political transition. So we don't have sufficient legal and also legal that can support the work of better working of democracy in our society, and also we don't have yet the strong political institution like political parties. We have so many or too many political parties that in many ways have been very counterproductive for the peaceful transition of Indonesia to democracy. The second question about whether Amin Rais is really sincere or not, I think nobody knows. Only
how do you see it?
But I think that Amin Rais today, when he read the statement after the meeting, their meeting at Grand Azhar Mosque in Kebayoran Baru, that he seems to have tried to accommodate, let's say, Megawati position. Megawati position, from time to time, Megawati has insisted that if that the political changes in Indonesia should be done in constitutional way. So we cannot, we cannot replace a president in, let's say, by doing special session. So what Megawati wants is that DPR has given first memorandum to president, and then DPR should wait the response of the president, and then wait after 3 months. If the president does not give sufficient response, and then there would be a second memorandum. That's a constitutional way, and Megawati has insisted that anything should be done in a constitutional way, according to Indonesian constitution. And Amin Rais today stated that he is going to do or to propose to accept also this constitutional way in order to make, let's say, to launch political changes in Indonesia,
including new president.
So this is a good sign from I think from the side of from the part of Amin Rais, from Amin Rais' part. So whether he is really sincere, again, I really don't know.
All right, then we'll accept
only God's know.
Yes, hopefully. Yes, hello. Good evening. Yes, cut off. It's been disconnected. Yes, we'll continue again. I think it was a question again about the Megawati as a new president. How is it the odds or the chances that Megawati to be the new president from Pak Rudi?
It really depends on the the attitude of President Abdurrahman Wahid, because of course President Abdurrahman Wahid is still a legitimate president, and then President Wahid has another 2 months to respond to DPR, and then President should also take a decisive action to resolve Sampit or Central Kalimantan problem that has created a lot of problem, that many people have been murdered in Central Kalimantan. So it really depends of President Wahid. If President Wahid were able to solve this problem, I think probably the situation also will be better, and also there is a good chance for President Abdurrahman to survive from continuing attempts of DPR to let's say to displace President Wahid.
All right. Yes. Hello. Good evening.
Yes. Hello. Good evening.
Yes. Who's this, please?
Yes, I am Sulaiman Malik from Jakarta.
Pak Sulaiman. Okay. Go ahead with your comments or questions, please.
So I would like to ask to Bapak
Azumardi.
Mr. Asumati.
Yes.
How do you think about Megawati if she considered as president? If she can manage well the Indonesia country?
Yeah.
Because she, as you know, the Megawati, she has no skill and everything, as I know. So I think it's better if Amin Rais can be president to replace the President Gus Dur. So how do you think about Megawati?
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. We'll continue with the caller. Hello, good evening. Hello, who's this, please?
Hello.
Yes.
Good
evening. Yes,
Professor.
who is this, please?
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Hello, Professor Azwar.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
I want to know something from you, Professor. That let's say that silaturahmi between Amir Rais, Taufik Kimas, and the other authorities today in Jakarta. Let I say that the choosing of therapist or program of treatments depends on therapeutic goals. For each of the many available treatment procedures appeals to a specific constituency and is concentrates on particular problems. So it's nearly impossible to categorize so many approaches. In general, there are also lots of orientations. When Amir Rais said in his statement with acute, that is bijaksana, nature, alamiah, and constitutional, constitusi. So, Professor, what is Professor Azhar Mahdi could be to translate in this statement? Thank you very much, Professor.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, question from the first caller about Megawati as a president.
Yes.
I think it was the same question as the previous caller.
Yes. Of course, there has been a lot of skepticism among many people in Indonesia about the ability and capability of Megawati. But I think at least in the last 2 weeks, there has been a lot of good signs from Megawati. I observed that now she's more assertive. You know, so I believe that Megawati would be able to be a good good leader. And of course, she has shown this when she leads PDIP. And also, of course, anybody, including also Megawati, has certain, weakness, certain weakness. But this is what we need is that all the other leaders, other political faction to support her, and then goes hand in hand with Megawati in order to rebuild this country. We cannot let her alone. So I think if all Muslim political leaders that met Taufik Kimas today fully agreed to support Megawati, I think this will make Megawati's duty become easier.
And that is supposed to be a good sign also for
It's
Megawati.
also a good sign, I think, for Megawati, as I said earlier, that Megawati has shown some sign of, assertiveness in the latest 2 weeks. 3 days ago, the Muhammadiyah leadership quoted Megawati as saying that she personally does not support President Wahid.
Abdurrahman Wahid.
Because she is herself is a candidate, presidential candidate of PDIP. Of course, she supports President Wahid in the context, in relation that President Wahid is a president and then she's a vice president. So the relationship between these two persons is more bureaucratic, is more in a formal way rather than in a personal way. The second one, second question is about the again about Amin Rais. I think Amin Rais also has shown some kind of good sign by softening his tone. We still remember, it is still fresh in our mind that several days ago maintained and asserted that the time for Gusdur is only 120 days. But now, today, he speak about constitution, about constitutional way like Megawati always maintains. So I think this is a good sign. We have to again we have to still have hopes of a better political development and economic situation in our country. Otherwise, if we don't have any hopes, I think I don't know, we will really in a very deep problem, deep trouble.
Okay then, we'll accept the last two callers. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Who is this, sir?
My name is Johan from Jakarta.
Johan, okay, yes. Go ahead, please.
So, talking about the candidate of president, I think that we have to give a chance to everyone who has ability to take that position. Otherwise, we will not know. We do not know whether they can be a president or not. I think even Megawati, if we never give her a chance to be a president, so nobody knows whether she can be a president or not.
Yeah.
So I think for that matter, we have no comment.
Yeah.
Except we give them, we give her a chance.
The same chance as everybody else. All right, thank you
so
very much.
During this situation, I think everything's, become messy, see, for every aspect. So nobody can replace such kind of our president like Abdurrahman Wahid at that time.
Yes, thank you very much, Pak Johar.
Yeah,
we'll continue.
that's
Yes, hello. Yes, we'll continue with the another caller, the last caller. Yes. Good evening. Hello. Hello. It's been disconnected. All right. Okay, you can go straight ahead with the question of Pak Johar.
Yeah.
Giving a chance to everyone.
Yeah, I fully agree to Pak Johar's statement that we have to give a fair chance to anybody, because we already agreed that we are going to live in a democracy, and then according to democracy we have everybody has a chance, fair chance to lead this country. So I agree that Megawati has not been given a fair chance.
Yes.
So far. So I fully agree with Pak Johar, and then we'll see. And then what we should do is to support, to give support to.
What are the chances
Megawati
for Megawati to becoming president?
Again, I think it really depends on the first, of course, on Megawati herself, whether she's ready or not. That's the first factor. The second factor is the whether Megawati could gain fully support from other political groups, political powers, because we understand that no single political parties gain the majority of parliament now. Even PDIP, as the winner of the last election, gained only around 34% of total population, total votes. So Megawati, PDIP needs support from other political parties. And the third factor is, of course, depends on the attitude of President Abdurrahman Wahid. If President Abdurrahman Wahid still cannot improve his performance and also his performance of the cabinet, I think I'm afraid that the situation is is going out of hand of President Abdurrahman Wahid. And
Yes.
we don't expect that.
Well, I hope everything turns out all right, and
Yes.
hopefully everything is for the best of the nation, Pak
Yes,
Azumadi.
for the best of the nation.
Yes. Unfortunately, we have some limited time in this
Yes.
segment, and thank you very much for coming to the studio again, Pak Azumadi.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
We'll continue with the news. Yeah. Britain's decision to ban political groups associated with terrorism from operating within its borders has been welcomed by many countries, particularly Sri Lanka, where Tamil Tiger separatists are fighting a decades-old separatist battle with government forces.
Britain designated 21 groups on Wednesday as terrorists, including the Tamil Tiger rebels, under a new anti-terrorism law designed to halt funding and support for British-based militant groups. In a statement released by Anton Billisingham, chief negotiator for the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam, said Britain's decision to designate Tamil Tigers fighting for independence in Sri Lanka as terrorists could hold up a bid for peace talks between the guerrillas and the Colombo government. The LTTE, fighting since 1983 for a separate minority Tamil state in the country's north and east, have twice extended a one-month unilateral ceasefire, which the government has dismissed as a ploy to help them avoid being banned in Britain. The latest ceasefire in the ethnic war, in which more than 64,000 people have died, runs to March 24th. In Colombo, Sri Lankan government officials welcomed decision. Sri Lankan military spokesman Brigadier Sanath Karunaratne said the British decision was a significant development. The United States listed the LTTE as a foreign terrorist group in 1997. But in Pakistan, Kashmiri militant group Harakatul Mujahideen, also banned from operating in Britain, said it was not concerned with being labeled a terrorist group.
That they have.
7 foreign oil workers taken hostage more than 4 months ago by an identified armed group in the jungles of Ecuador have arrived to a Quito hotel after their captors received a ransom of $13 million.
7 foreign oil workers held hostage in Ecuador's Amazon jungle region for 4.5 months by an armed group were freed on Thursday, 1 week after their employers paid a $13 million ransom. 4 U.S. citizens, a New Zealander, an Argentine and a Chilean, were released near Lago Agrio, 190 miles east of Quito, near the Colombian border, and had made contact with their employers, a source close to the employers told Reuters. A military source close to the investigation said the U.S. citizens were generally in good physical condition despite suffering from minor ailments. No information was immediately available on the other 3. The military source said the freed hostages were checked by doctors and debriefed at Lago Agrio. The 7 were part of a group of 10 foreign workers abducted from a Repsol YPF oil field in Ecuador's central Amazon region in October. A police spokesman Wednesday said a ransom was paid for the release of the foreigners. Local media estimated the amount at $13 million and said the money was flown in by helicopter in denomination of $100 bills at the kidnappers' request. No one has claimed responsibility for the kidnapping, the second in Ecuador in a year in the oil-rich jungle that borders Colombia's coca-growing Putumayo region.
The former U.S. ambassador to Kenya, Prudence Bushnell, told a hushed courtroom she thought she would die in the 1998 Nairobi embassy bombing as she was hit on the head by falling masonry and thought she would fall through the collapsing floor.
On the morning of the bombing in Nairobi in August 1998, U.S. Ambassador Prudence Bushnell was meeting with Kenya's Minister of Commerce and others on the top floor of the Cooperative Bank building near the U.S. Embassy on one of the Nairobi's busy streets, she told the court in New York on Thursday. The group had just been served tea when they heard a loud explosion, and Bushnell said she asked if there was any construction going on in the area. As members of the group went to look out of the 18th floor window, there was another huge explosion. Bushnell, who had just risen out of her chair, said she was thrown back and momentarily knocked unconscious. When she opened her eyes, she saw the ceiling failing. It was a trying day for jurors who, after hearing Bushnell's testimony, were shown a graphic video of charred bodies and other destruction that clearly upset some of the panelists. Bushnell, who suffered minor injuries in the attack, said she was eventually driven away from the scene, but she returned the next day to survey the damage. She said the 7-story Ufundi Cooperative House, an office building that housed a secretarial school, had been leveled and that there was no utter devastation inside the embassy and the bank. In addition to viewing massive death and destruction, the bombing was particularly painful to Bushnell, who had been complaining privately to her superiors in Washington for more than a year before the attack about poor security at the embassy. The 4 men on trial in a Manhattan federal court are among 22, including bin Laden himself, charged in an alleged conspiracy dating to 1989 that included 1998 bombings of the 2 U.S. embassies in East Africa.
African heads of state proclaimed the birth of the African Union, a continental confederation loosely modeled on the European Union and actively sponsored by Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi.
Libyan officials said about 45 heads of state and government were expected to attend the Organization of African Unity extraordinary 2-day summit starting on Thursday in Gaddafi's coastal hometown in Sirte, called to endorse the Union plan. At least 2/3 of the 53 OAU member states must ratify the Charter before the ambitious plan can come into force. However, few diplomats in the region expected any immediate impact from the planned union, which envisions a continent living in democracy and the respect of human rights, far from its woes of war, ethnic and religious conflicts, famine and disease. UAU officials noted that only 13 out of 21 treaties and conventions signed by African leaders in recent years were partially or wholly in force. The African Economic Committee, established in Abuja, Nigeria, had to wait 13 years before obtaining the required formal signatures in May 1991. Others, including former UN Secretary General Boutros Ghali, an Egyptian, were more optimistic. Diplomats noted that while South Africa's President Thabo Mbeki was present in Sirte, about 500 kilometers east of Tripoli, Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak did not come, nor did Tunisian President Zine al-Abidine Ben Ali, who said he had flu. Egypt and Tunisia were represented at the summit, which was due to begin late on Thursday and end on Friday by Foreign Minister Amir Moussa and Prime Minister Mohamed Ghannouchi.
This is TVRI Evening News, the first English news in the country.
Amid the urgency to reschedule mounting debts of the private sector, creditors and debitors unexperienced in handling debt rescheduling often take the wrong measures when trying to resolve their financial shortcomings.
That may be for many of us.
The difficulties in resolving problems related to debts of the private sector are closely linked to the improper management of debts arising from managers' lack of experience. Thus, these problems must be combined with international expertise able to handle local dilemmas, said Bill Sullivan and Andrew Saker, foreign financial consultants. They added that a comprehensive understanding of debitors' efforts, financial status, and legal affairs are a prerequisite to create an effective strategy for debt reschedulement.
I think the main problem at the moment is a lack of experience in handling very complex debt restructurings. The issue of non-performing loans in Indonesia is an incredibly complex one, and Indonesia has not had any prior experience of how to deal with a problem on that scale.
Well, I believe Indonesia has the structures in place to be able to effect the restructuring both in an informal and a formal capacity. It's a matter of implementing those and obtaining the institutional support to be able to get those restructuring processes underway and completed.
Reports from Australia. Sir Don Bradman, the greatest batsman in Test cricket history and Australia's most revered sporting figure, had one last public journey through Adelaide yesterday as his funeral procession was watched by thousands of mourners.
Thousands of Australians lined suburban streets to pay tribute to Sir Don Bradman, as a cricket legend's casket was carried in procession to a private funeral service in his hometown, Adelaide, on Thursday. Bradman's only son, John, walked for a short way in front of the silver-grey hearse, carrying his father's body, as waiting crowds of people, young and old, broke into warm applause to bid farewell to the world's most prolific batsman. Some threw flowers and others saluted with cricket bats as the funeral cortege, escorted by police cars and motorcycles, drove slowly along the 15-kilometer route from a suburban funeral home to the picturesque Centennial Park Cemetery. The reclusive Bradman, who died on Sunday, aged 92, turned down the offer of a state funeral, asking instead to be privately cremated. Details about the service, attended only by about 100 people, including Governor-General Sir William Dean, and about Bradman's final resting place, have been kept private. But a public memorial service is to be held on March 25, 2001 at St. Peter's Cathedral, to be broadcast live across Australia. Bradman compiled 6,996 runs in just 52 tests during the 1930s and 1940s to finish with a tantalizing average of 99.94. Only a stunning failure in his last 10 innings before retirement in England in 1948 denied him the magical average of 100. About 200 mourners waited outside the funeral home for more than an hour to catch a last glimpse of the man known to generations as the Don.
The Norwegian government handed over $4 million in financial assistance to Indonesia in order to improve cooperation between the two countries, especially with regard to the development of the environment. The agreement was signed by the Indonesian Minister of the Environment, Sonny Keraf, and the Minister of International Development of Norway, Anne Kristen Sidneys, yesterday in Jakarta. The Norwegian Minister, Anne Kristen Sidneys, said that the agreement includes cooperation in the environmental sector, especially in the areas of natural resources, the change of weather, and progress towards a clean environment. The minister added that Indonesia and Norway have agreed to follow up an agreement that was signed in 1990. The agreement consists of various programs in environmental development. The Minister of the Environment, Sonny Keraf, said that the financial assistance from the Norwegian government will focus on improving the environment in Riau province, a decision made because Riau is rich in natural resources. He went on to express the gratitude of Indonesia to the Norwegian government for their aid and hopes that the cooperation between the two countries will strengthen in the future.
Kemchik's supermarket yesterday celebrated its 31st anniversary, still sticking to Bob Sadino's long-standing position of having a family-oriented business. Located in the elite Kemang region of South Jakarta, the market was founded by local businessman Bob Sadino. According to its director, Ari Broto Laksono, the aim of Kemchik's stems from three ideas: as a retailer, to get involved in the farming industry through its Chem Farm, and to go into the food line through Chem Food. The purpose is to show that Kemchik's focuses to be a single entity covering several food products. Kemchik's still continues to develop into an ever more prosperous market sector, aiming to satisfy its mostly expatriate consumers with its rarely found high quality of selected items, mostly various meats and vegetables.
4 young artists from Bali in their debut display adorning a gallery in Kemang are showing their latest vibrant art pieces in the Taksu Papat Karisma 4 art exhibition. The Taksu Papat Karisma 4 art exhibition features paintings of 4 Balinese painters: Wayan Sujana, known as Suklu, Wayan Swastama, Ketuteja Astawa, and Wayan Setem. All 4 were brought up in traditional villages in Bali, where they began to appreciate and learn Balinese art. After graduating from Bali's Art Academy, their flair for modernism was combined with their love of Bali traditional arts. Modern elements are used in their artworks, which are adopted in their painting techniques, overall presentation, and themes which are often contemporary. Art patron Surya Nataatmaja officially opened the exhibition, which displays the most important works of the 4 artists, entitled A Flower for the Statue, Men and Women of 2001, Where is My Bali, and In the Crossroads of the Year 2000. That includes tonight's edition of TVRI News. Be sure to join us again tomorrow for more news from around the world. I'm Devianti Farids.
And I'm Babang Harino Suroso. Thank you for watching and good
night.